Hi, Cutie Pies. It is Lanickia, and I am coming to you with Season 5, Episode 2 of The Good Doctor. Let's get started. My daughter. You know how that goes sometimes. Just ignore the extra background noise. Okay. So we start off right with this big staff meeting. So if you watched episode 1, you will see that they had a takeover because she pretended to be a patient, but she wasn't really a patient, and she was actually buying out the hospital because apparently they were like bleeding money. Okay, so she buys them out, and they're at this big staff meeting, and she just tells them that this hospital is going to be different. They're going to care about their patients. They're going to care about their doctors. They're just going to be about wellness and everything. So then after the staff meeting, the guys discuss like who likes it, who doesn't. Park doesn't really like it. Morgan, she's a kid, so she's like, okay, I can be nice. Sean likes it. He says he likes rules and structure and all of that. Leah doesn't like it because she's like, I'm going to have to change this whole system and everything. I'm not looking forward to that. I mean, it's just who likes, who doesn't need it. And then I saw Mateo was there, and I was like, oh, okay, so I guess she pitched for him to be there. Because, I think he was supposed to go to another hospital, right? But he's there in the staff meeting with them. I said, okay, so Lim got him on. Okay. So then a pregnant woman comes in, and she's in with the guard, and the guard said that she can't leave her because she killed her last baby. So you already know that's about to be a good sideline that's about to happen and go on. So then we see that after the baby is born, so they're doing surgery on the woman that came in with the pregnant prisoner. She came in, they're doing surgery on her, and then Salen comes across and comes, how they're doing surgery, and she's at the top. So she's at the top, and she tells them, discharge her whenever y'all are done with her. And they're like, she's gonna need, like, what about post care and everything? And she was like, she'll be fine. Get her where she's fine, and then move on to the next patient. Like, we're not gonna spend all this time on these patients. We're gonna move on to next, get beds open and stuff. And so then a track star comes in, and I can't remember where is she from? I can't remember exactly where she's from, but I think she's like African or something like that. But so she comes in, and she's like, she feels great and everything, but when they put her on the machine to check her out, she starts to spit up blood. And so they're like, okay, we got to figure out what's going on with her. So they do figure out that she does have cancer, and it's stage 4. And her birth mother comes, and she talks down on her mom. Okay, so she said they tell the track star, hey, your mom's here. And she's like, my mom died 2 years ago. And they talk down. And the birth mother comes in, and she just talks down about the people who raised this track star that's in the hospital or whatever, which the young lady is like, they raised me, they took care of me when you left me to go back home. And she was like, I didn't leave you, I was getting deported, I had no choice, I had to go. So there's that part. So okay, so Park has sympathy for the woman with the baby, right? The pregnant prisoner. He has a lot of sympathy for her because he's like, I don't think she's killing her babies. And if she was, there has to be some postpartum going on there. So instead of just like blaming her like Morgan was doing, just like, oh yeah, she killed our babies, and oh, because we're hormonal, that means we all have to kill our children and do. Morgan was just on one, because you know how she gets sometimes and everything. But Park had more sympathy for the woman. So then we see the Park is checking on the baby, and he was like, something's wrong with the baby, like the formula is like something's wrong or whatever. And he was like, we need to but so Park is trying to keep them in the hospital as long as possible. This is the pregnant prisoner. He's trying to keep them in the hospital, so he's like, we're gonna run tests and do all this. And Morgan was like, everything is fine, they just need to change the formula and stuff and let them go, like Salen told us to do or whatever. But Park does not want to, so he's trying to run all different types of tests because he's like, I think there's something deeper going on here. So then we see Okay, so then they go. Salen goes to Dr. Glassman because apparently he didn't come to the staff meeting. I mean, it was a lot going on in the staff meeting, and she was throwing a lot of stuff. I didn't even realize he had not been there. So she was telling him like, "I need your support," and he was like, "Yeah." Because she pretty much told him like, if you leave, because he told her I resign, and she was like, no, you can't resign, because if you leave, all these changes will not go over well. And she was like, truth be told, this, I saved your hospital. I saved this hospital because y'all were gonna, like, they were gonna sell y'all, and y'all were just gonna be parking lots or some apartment buildings or something like that. So I saved this hospital. And I need your support, because if people see you leaving, they'll, you know how people do, oh, he left and he has influence or whatever, then they might follow suit. And so she said, well, will it take you to stay? She said, if you stay, I'll keep your clinic or whatever open. And he said, I'll think about it, because he loves that clinic. That's the whole reason they got him back in the first place, because of that clinic, to help people who can't really, can't afford, insurance and all that kind of stuff. So then we see where Park brings the baby. Okay, so Park brings the baby to the prisoner, the mother that's the prisoner, because he wants her to breastfeed, because he feels like if she breastfeed, then that's what is wrong with the baby. It needs its mother's milk or whatever. And she's very happy to see her baby and everything. So then we find out. Oh, so then I got ahead of myself, but yeah. So the track star has stage 4 cancer. She only has 12 months to live. She only has 12 months to live, and then so she's going to get tests run and everything. And the mother talks about how the other people who raised her didn't have any respect, and she pretty much tell her mama, go on, her birth mother, go on, because I don't want to hear that, because the people who raised her are have passed on. And plus, they raised her. She considered that her mom. So she was like, I don't want to hear that. So the baby is sick. So now they're like, okay, what happened to this baby? This baby was healthy. I mean, the baby they needed to change formula, but the baby wasn't this sick. And so Park admits to Morgan that he actually let the mom see the baby. And so the baby had nursing milk or whatever, and she was like, oh, so you gave the mom a chance to poison this baby or whatever. Okay, so then what happened? So then Sean and the team are trying to find out what's wrong with the baby, and what's wrong with the baby. And then Salen comes in when because he's got cake, because that's his part of the wedding. He has to pick the cake, and so he has all these cake samples and everything. And she was like, oh, I've been wanting cake. And he was like, you're not invited to the wedding, and so there's no reason for you to taste this cake. And so she starts asking him, is he artistic and all that. And she says, I have ADHD and everything. And he was like, Sean is just Sean. So then he tells them about this experiment. I think it was GT cell or something. He tells them about, and he's like, try that. So then what happens is, oh no, they're not talking about the baby. They were talking about the track star. So then Sean goes to Dr. Glassman, because he was like, I can't figure out what to do for this cake. And Dr. Glassman is really into himself right now, because he's like, I've lost my wife. I don't have a child, because his daughter is not talking. And he's like, I lost my wife. I don't have a child. I'm not going to have a job. Like right now, I'm trying to stay positive and not think about all this and just look at a great outlook on this. And Sean is just like, I'm glad you're happy and you got this positive outlook, but you didn't help me at all with this cake. Nobody's helping me with this cake, because y'all all are saying, I like this one, but I don't like this one and everything. And, there's no clear winner on the cake. And that's all Sean is really focused on right now. So okay, Dr. Andrews and Mateo are in there with the track star, right? And Mateo tells her about this experiment that Sean had recommended, and he didn't run that by Dr. Andrews at all. And so he was telling her it'll give you a longer time, it'll fight the cancer and all this kind of stuff. So it's like your body is repairing itself, excuse me. And so then we cut to the next scene. We see Dr. Andrews, Lim, and Mateo in her office. And Dr. Andrews is like, you can't do that. You can't go to a patient and tell them something when I am right there, like when that's my patient, this is my case or whatever. So then Salen comes in, right? Because she's all over the place. So then she comes in, right? And she was like, oh, keep going. I think this office has really good Wi-Fi and I need to use this Wi-Fi. So she sits down and everything, and she says a few things, and they're just like, you're not helping. They're like, just like, you're not helping. So anyways, so Andrew says, it's my case. And then Lim says it doesn't have to be. So she pretty much took the case from Andrews. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I could see her saying, I know it's your case, but let's consider, because the patient did say that they wanted to go with what Mateo said. So I could see her saying, because the patient wanted to go with what Mateo says, let's just do this or whatever. But she just completely took the case from him. Crazy. Okay, so then they find an entire. So then we go back to the prisoner scene, her whole storyline. And they find that the baby had antifreeze. So, of course, this makes Morgan be like, I told you, Park. I told you this woman was killing her baby. You gave her an opportunity. And so they're like, we're going to have to do a hysterectomy on this woman or whatever, because we're going to have to do a hysterectomy on her. And Morgan was like, well, great. And Park is still just like, I don't know. It's just something off about this. But, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he can't figure out what's going on. So then we see Jordan and the track star are speaking, right? They're talking, right? And she just pretty much tells the girl, your mom really cares for you. She might not be, it might not be in the way you want her to, and it might not be the best. There's our hair, like, how there might not be the way you want her to, but she does care about you. And even though, you don't like that she has these opinions and feelings about the other mother and stuff, it's hard for her. And the little girl kind of, excuse my wrist get caught. And the little girl kind of, she understood what Jordan was trying to say, and you could see her kind of coming around a little bit. I think they just added Jordan and Asher in here just to have them get a few lines, because they were not really in these stories tonight at all. It was really about Andrews, Mateo, Sean, Leah, kinda, Park, and Morgan. It was they just dropped them in so they could have a few, so that we could remember they're part of the cast, I feel like. So then Leah and Sean talk. So he goes to her office because he's like, I have a problem with this cake. These people are not telling me what to do. So he's telling her, trying to get her to tell him, to help him. And, she's like, I can't, because she's upset about this system. She does not want to have to reconfigure all of this stuff with the system. And Sean said, you told me to use my words if I'm feeling a certain type of way. And I did, and you got to dismiss me. And she was like, you know what, I'm sorry about that, but you did help figure something out. So then she goes and I'm just going to wrap her up because it was not just a story. So she goes and talks to Salen, and they come up with a plan on, because it turns out she has a lot of respect for Leah, and so they're coming up with a plan on how to make the hospital better and everything. So there is that. So then Mateo talks to the track star's mom, and he tells her, because she was like, those people didn't raise her with respect. And Mateo just had to let her know, like, listen, ma'am, I know it was hard for you to give her up, and you did that because you loved her so much or whatever. He said, but keep in mind, the people who raised her, they also made a sacrifice to raise her, and she's a good young lady or whatever. So he put, like, you could see it coming around for her too, as far as, okay, I'm being a little hard or whatever on the people who, gave me the gift of taking care of my child and making sure that she was good. Okay, so then we see that Morgan gave this prisoner truth serum. And so the prisoner, like, they knew it was working, because she said she didn't like Morgan because she was a B. And Park was like, okay, so it's working. So they talk to the prisoner, And what she tells them is that, like, I failed as a mom. And they're like, because you gave your babies antifreeze because you hurt. She's like, no, because I couldn't protect them. Because she doesn't know what's going on with her children either, or whatever. And, she's in prison because they think she killed her first baby, and everything. And so she tells them, I could never hurt my children. Look, mama. She tells them, I could never hurt my children and stuff like that. And so now they're like, okay, well, we need to figure out what's going on. So then Salen, okay, so then the surgery is going on for the track star. And Lim and Mateo, they're over the surgery, right? And Andrews is at the top. Excuse me, sinus. Is at the top. You know how they look down. So he's up there looking in on the surgery. And then Salen comes in and she starts asking him about, do you think that she would have sided with Mateo if I hadn't been there? And he was like, I don't know. And she's like, she's trying to get him to say something or like anything about Lim. And he keeps it real professional. He says she's a great boss. She makes good decisions. She makes great decisions. She's ethical and yada, yada, yada. And Salen is just like, okay, I like you. Because he could have threw a Lim under the bus and he didn't. So then, okay, excuse me, y'all. So then, get your sippy. So then she was like, okay, I like you or whatever. So then we find out, okay, so then we go back to the prisoner that, they think killed the baby. We find out, so they're looking over her stuff, Park, Morgan, and Sean. And Sean is focused on this cake, y'all. So he finally decides, I'm just going to do a 5-tier cake. Well, while he's talking, it actually makes Morgan think, they look exactly, because he was talking about red velvet cake. That's what happened. About it being exactly the same as some other kind of cake, chocolate cake or something. But he's like, there's just a slight difference. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's it. And so they realized that the breast milk is what's something in the mother makes her breast milk turn to acid. And that's it seems like antifreeze, but it's not. And so after that, they realized what happened, and then she got to be with her baby and everything, and they told the authorities and all that. So happy ending for them. And so then the surgery for the track star went really well, and her mother made up in the end. Her mother just told her, I was jealous. They got to raise you and I didn't because I got deported. And so now they're, happily. Now the track star told her, well, maybe we can be friends and then go into, family and everything. And she told her, tell me about your mother because that was somebody important to the young lady's life. And so that's how that whole thing ended with them. So then Salen is in, where they do the CAT scans. She's in there and Dr. Glassman comes in and she was like, oh, so you're staying. And he was like, oh, I used to have a better poker face than that. And she was like, okay. She was like, how much is going to cost me? He said, double the budget for the clinic. And she was like, okay. I mean, she needs him to stay. So she was like, okay. And then she said, what do I get? What do I get from you out of this? And he said, I'm just going to smile. But he's like, no. I'm not going to be like real. I'm just going to be a puppet figure. Just exactly like you said you wanted earlier. You just wanted my support. That's it. I'm not going to say a negative word. I'm not going to talk bad about it. All these changes, I'm not going to do any of that. You got my support. And she was like, excuse me, I did not. That's passive support is what she told him. And he was like, that's what you bought or whatever. And that's your poker face because you need me to do this or whatever. And she was just like, I mean, what can I say? I need him to do this. So then, okay, so Mateo and Lim come in. They're all happy and everything because their surgery went well. And Salen is in her office. And Lim is like, don't you have an office? Like, why are you? And she was like, oh, yeah, my assistant said it was somewhere or something. So then she started talking to him, right? And she asked them, what happened to Derek and some other patient? I can't remember their names. She said, what happened to those patients, Mateo? And he said, I scheduled them for tomorrow. And she said, did you schedule Derek at another hospital because that's where he is? And I was like, oh. because they lost that patient. And then she asked Lim what happened to her patients, and she said, I did all my consults for tomorrow. And she said, but one patient was expecting biopsy results. 24 hours is a long time to wait when you're, because you're on edge. You want to know if you have cancer or not, what's going on. And yeah, so she pretty much told them, yeah, like this whole little thing right here is not about to happen. I read it for what it was. You thought you got some brownie points with me because you put down Dr. Andrews in front of, pick Mateo over Dr. Andrews, kind of a put down or whatever. No, not gonna happen. So then we see Lim and Mateo in the bed, because they're a couple. So they're in the bed and everything. He was like, I can handle Andrews, and she was like, we just embarrassed him in front of Salen and everything. He's gonna be watching you. He's gonna be coming from you. I was like, oh, like he probably is, because you know how Andrews is. And I like Andrews because he is always, typically, usually fair. Like over the seasons, he's been more fair than what he used to be, because he was a jerk when he first came on this show or whatever. But he's usually fair, whatever. So I was like, I don't think so. I don't think he would be like that, but who knows? We'll see in these next few seasons, in this next season. But I don't know. So that was them. They're just like, we're gonna have to just deal with this because we want to be together, and so it is what it is. So then we see Sean and Leah, and he's letting Leah know that I picked the cake and all that kind of stuff. So they're very happy about that, right? And then Sean goes to wash his hands, and everything's all new. And Leah's like, I'm so proud of how you handling all these change. He was handling it well, but he had said earlier in the episode, these scrubs are itchy. And then he goes to wash his hands. He's like, these are new soap. And so she was like, and then he was like, this soap won't come off. And Leah can see he's escalating. And so she's trying to calm him down. And then he's like, where's the paper towel? And she was like, I think they got rid of it because, germs or something. And so he goes to the hand dryer, and it's lighting up blue, and it's the noise. And he was like, just stop it. And so he goes, it's really intense for him, like the itchy scrubs, the soap, the hand dryer, and all that. He just has like a moment. And so that's how the show goes. I'm really excited about. Okay, at first I was like, I don't know if I like this woman, but I do. I like her. I like Salen on the show, because I was reading all the reviews, where they were like, oh, she's a Nimitz and she's coming to shake things up and we're so happy to have her. And I was like, I don't know if I want that, because I was liking Melendez, and he left the show in season 3, and then I was loving me some Claire. I loved that Claire was on here, and then she left the show, and I'm like, okay, I know it's called The Good Doctor. And it's supposed to be about Sean, but y'all are bringing all these other people on here that I have to get used to, even though Asher and Jordan were on that last season or whatever, and I do like them. It's still every time you're bringing on all these people, and Salen came on, and she has a huge role, but I like her. Maybe in later on I might not. But as of right now, I think she's fair. She just wants the hospital to be ran the right way, even though she was wrong, like coming in there and stopping, taking up medicine and all that kind of stuff, and putting on makeup on her fingers and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing how this season is going to go, especially like with Andrews trying to be a little player, because since he and his wife are not. No, I don't even understand why they did that, but okay. I don't know, unless they're gonna put him and Salen together, or something happens with him and Andrews. I'm talking about Andrews. Unless something happens with him and Lim, I don't understand it, but I don't know. But anyways, that was The Good Doctor, y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day.